Hello, this is Sondra Oster Baras, bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Eikev, and we're moving along in the book of Deuteronomy. And as we have been saying these last few weeks, let us just remember, Deuteronomy, unlike the other books of 5 books of Moses, is Moses' speeches to the nation of Israel. And it reflects more than anything else the messages that he believes that it is important for the nation to hear just before they go into the land. And I'd like to focus on a few verses that we see in chapter 9, Deuteronomy chapter 9. And the first verse begins, listen, Israel, and Shema Yisrael, basically, and we see the word Shema Yisrael mentioned a few times in the book of Deuteronomy. Of course, the most famous one is Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, and we've already seen that one. But now let's look at this one, chapter 9, verse 1. Listen, Israel, you are crossing today the Jordan to go and inherit great and powerful nations, more powerful than you are, big cities, fortified to the heavens. And it goes on to describe how powerful indeed these nations are. Even giants are standing there. Okay? And here, on the one hand, Moses begins by giving them a promise. Don't worry. And of course, this is the message that should have been clear already to the spies a generation earlier. The spies came back and said, oh my, we can't possibly inherit the land because there are fortified cities and there are giants. And here Moses actually is repeating the same issues. Fortified cities, giants, powerful nations, but instead Moses is reminding them, kind of responding, as it were, to the fear that was cultivated in them by the spies. And here he's kind of already saying, don't worry, because it is God who will defeat them before you. It is God who will destroy you. Okay? And so they're given this promise that it will be okay and they're going to inherit the land. But then comes the part that I would like to focus on. He says, as you see this, and I'm looking now at verse 4, as you see God defeating these nations before you, it says, don't say in your heart that it is because I am so righteous, that God is doing all these wonderful miracles and giving me the land because I, the nation of Israel, am so righteous, and these nations, on the other hand, are so wicked, and therefore they must be expelled from their land. Now, the truth of the matter is we do see in other parts of Deuteronomy that God does talk about the sin of the Canaanites and the fact that they are a corrupt society and they're a pagan society and they're doing terrible things. And therefore, there is an element of they deserve to be sent out or driven from the land, destroyed or whatever. But here, Moses is saying something completely different. He's saying, don't talk about that. That's not the issue. The issue is not how righteous you are or how evil this nation is. What does he say? He says, the reason you're going in is in order for God to fulfill his word that he swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And here then we have what essentially is one of the foundations of the connection between the people of Israel and the land of Israel, going back to Abraham. When Abraham first came into the land in Genesis 12, God said to him, Genesis 12:6, I will give this land to your children. And God repeats this promise to Abraham, again to Isaac, and then to Jacob. Okay? And afterwards, when God redeems them from Egypt, again he tells them he's bringing them to the land that he has already promised to the forefathers. And we see this theme repeated on a number of occasions, both in the Bible but also later on by the prophets, when they are talking about bringing the nation of Israel back to the land. Why? And there's different reasons that are given. But in Jeremiah, for example, Jeremiah will often refer to the fact that he is bringing them back to the land in fulfillment of the promise to the forefathers. And this element is something that the nation of Israel must take to heart, because it talks about the immutability of the connection of the covenant between God and the Jewish people. Irrespective of how righteous or how evil Israel or the other nations are, there is already been decreed from heaven as part of the covenant between God and the nation of Israel, starting with the covenant between God and the forefathers. The land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people. And this, of course, is a covenant that we take to heart very much so today. And all those of you out there who stand with Israel, who support the right of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, your commitment to this is not a question of politics. It's not a question of how good or bad the nation of Israel are in any one generation. It is a question of God's will and God's covenant. And this is what Moses wants, not only this generation that he's speaking to in the desert to remember, but indeed these words become enshrined in the book of Deuteronomy so that we, for all time, will remember God promised this land to our forefathers and to us as an everlasting possession. Have a wonderful weekend and Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'd like to be sure you're getting all of our video content. So just click on the subscribe button below as well as on the notification bell, and that way you will have easy access to all our material. We look forward to staying in touch with you. God bless you and have a wonderful day.